You are sealed underground, in a chamber barely wider than your body. No workers, no food supply, no exit. The only nutrition your larvae will receive is what your body can produce, trophic eggs from your ovaries, secretions from your crop, and the flight muscles dissolving inside your thorax. You are the colony's only nurse, only pantry, and only egg layer, and your reserves are finite. This is Solenopsis invicta, the red imported fire ant, not a cartoon version. A founding queen running a biological budget that either produces workers or kills her. In laboratory conditions with no predators and no flooding, 37 out of 60 newly mated queens successfully raised a first batch of workers. The other 23 failed. In the field, the odds are shaped by heat, moisture, soil, and the biggest early threat, workers from mature colonies already in the ground around her. What happens inside that chamber, and what does the queen become if she makes it out? To understand the budget, start before the chamber. Start with the only flight she will ever take. Level 1. The one flight. You are a winged virgin queen inside a colony of Solenopsis invicta, the red imported fire ant. Not every species called a fire ant lives the same life. This one is yours. Your body has been building toward a single event. Rain falls. The soil softens. Warm, humid air settles over the mound. And something in the colony shifts. Workers clear the tunnels. Winged males and females move toward the surface. You launch. Thousands of winged ants rise from mounds across the landscape. Males fly with you. Mating happens in the air, brief, impersonal, driven entirely by chemistry and timing. The males that succeed will die shortly after. They have no colony role waiting for them on the ground. Their bodies are built for this one function. You are not built for one function. You are built for what comes after. The flight is over. It will never happen again. Every fertilized egg you will ever produce depends on the sperm you collected during those minutes in the air. That supply is stored in a structure called the spermatheca, a biological vault sealed inside your abdomen. It does not refill. It does not regenerate. When it empties, your reproductive life is over. Estimated potential reproductive life from that single stored supply, roughly 6 to 7 years, based on sperm depletion rates measured in Florida colonies. Not a guarantee. A countdown. The clock is already running. Level 2. Dealation. You land on soil. The first thing you do is remove your own wings. You hook your legs forward, grip each wing, and snap it free. This is dealation. It is not damage. It is transition. You are not a flyer anymore. You are a foundress. The wing muscles inside your thorax begin to break down. They become nutrients, part of the finite reservoir your body will use to raise larvae, produce trophic eggs, and secrete food from your salivary glands and crop. You find a crack in the soil. You dig. You seal yourself inside a tiny underground chamber. No food deliveries. No colony infrastructure. Just you, your stored sperm, and whatever your body can convert into offspring. This is claustral founding. The chamber keeps you hidden from desiccation and surface predators. But it also means there is no foraging. Every calorie comes from what you already carry. You lay your first eggs, roughly 10 to 15 within the first day. Then, you wait. The body budget. Your larvae hatch. They are helpless. They cannot feed themselves. And there is no one else in the chamber. So you feed them. You produce trophic eggs, eggs not meant to develop, meant only to be eaten. You secrete liquid from your crop and salivary glands. You metabolize the wing muscles that are still dissolving in your thorax. Your body is the pantry, the incubator, and the nurse. In laboratory observations, newly mated S. invicta queens spent 65% of their time on brood care. Mature queens attended by workers spent less than 1%. That gap is the founding tax. Before the colony exists, the queen is the colony. Even under controlled lab conditions, no predators, no flooding, no competing ants. Only about 62% of newly mated queens successfully reared their first batch of workers. Nearly 4 in 10 failed, not because they were attacked, because the body budget ran out, or the brood cycle collapsed, or some combination of conditions that even a sealed chamber cannot fix. If you succeed, your first workers emerge. They are small, noticeably smaller than the workers a mature colony produces. They are called minims. They are small because they were built on a limited fuel supply. The minims open the chamber. Light enters for the first time. And the founding phase is over. You will never do brood care at that intensity again. But you paid for it in muscle, in mass, in weeks of sealed darkness. Level 4. The colony next door. Your minims begin foraging. The chamber opens to the surface world, and the surface world is already occupied. The most dangerous threat to a newly founded S. invicta queen is not a bird, not a lizard. It is workers from mature fire ant colonies already established in the area. In field experiments, workers from established S. invicta colonies cause the majority of deaths among newly mated queens. Your tiny minims are outnumbered, outmassed, and outmatched by foragers from colonies that have been growing for years. Your founding chamber is not a fortress. It is a pocket of soil with a few dozen undersized workers. One raid from a nearby colony, and the entire investment, wings, muscles, sperm, weeks of brood care, is erased. Established ant communities can suppress new colony establishment entirely. The soil is not empty, it is contested. You carry venom, queen venom potent enough to rapidly incapacitate competitor ants in laboratory exposure tests. But venom does not replace a workforce, and your workforce is a handful of minims who weigh almost nothing. The colony either grows fast enough to defend itself, or it does not survive the neighborhood. Level 5. The alliance collapses. Here is where the system turns. Not every queen founds alone. Some S. invicta queens seal themselves into a chamber with other newly mated queens, 2, 3, sometimes more. This is Pleometrosis, cooperative colony founding. The logic seems straightforward. More queens means more eggs, more larvae, more first workers, faster growth. In some conditions, groups of founding queens survive enemy attacks better than solitary queens. 2 queens can be safer than 1. But the cooperation has an expiration date. In monogyne founding associations, colonies headed toward a single queen structure, only 1 queen survives past the first worker emergence. The others are killed. Workers that the queens raise together now participate in choosing which queen stays. And the outcome is not always what you would expect. In laboratory 2 queen colonies, the queen who lost less body mass during founding was more likely to survive. She also had a higher share of the offspring. The queen who poured more of herself into the brood, more trophic eggs, more secretions, more body reserves spent, could end up being the one eliminated. Spending more does not protect you. It may cost you. The founding alliance is not betrayal. It is not politics. It is a shift in colony conditions. Once workers exist, the social environment changes, and the system no longer needs every queen it started with. The helpers choose 1 queen. Level 6. The genetic checkpoint. If your colony is polygyne, structured to support multiple queens, survival depends on a different filter. Solenopsis invicta has 2 major social forms. Monogyne colonies have 1 egg-laying queen. Polygyne colonies can sustain several. The difference is not random. It is anchored in a large, non-recombining region of the genome, a social chromosome that shapes colony organization. Within that region sits a gene called GP9. Workers carrying a specific variant, the B allele, can detect and kill queens that lack it. This is not a decision. It is a chemical recognition system. The workers check. The queen's odor either matches, or it does not. If it does not, she is executed. A queen in a polygyne colony is not simply accepted because she lays eggs. She is accepted because her chemical identity passes a genetically encoded checkpoint enforced by her own workers. The colony does not ask whether she is productive, it asks whether she belongs. Level 7. The egg machine. You survive the founding. You survive the neighborhood. You survive the alliance. You survive the checkpoint. Now, you are a mature queen in an established colony. Workers feed you. Workers move you. Workers process food through their own bodies and through larvae before it reaches you. Your entire nutritional supply is a chain that runs through the colony's workforce. And you lay. A well-fed mature queen can produce hundreds to over 1,000 eggs per day. When active, oviposition cycles can be as short as 10 seconds between eggs. Your abdomen swells. Your body becomes an output system. This is the part that looks like power. A protected queen, surrounded by workers, producing the colony's future. But the protection is conditional. You do not forage. You do not fight. You do not explore. You depend entirely on a supply chain you cannot control. If worker foraging collapses, from pathogens, from environmental disruption, from colony damage, the brood declines. Your weight drops. Your fecundity falls. A virus called SINV3 can stop worker foraging in infected colonies. The queen is not directly attacked. But when the workers stop bringing food, the brood system starves. And the queen's output drops with it. The pathogen does not need to reach the queen. It just needs to break the system around her. Your body is still running on that single sperm supply from your mating flight. Years ago, minutes in the air, now measured out egg by egg across seasons. The spermatheca does not refill. Every fertilized daughter, Every worker, every future queen, is drawn from a reservoir that only shrinks. Level 8. The Bottleneck. You are not a monarch. You do not command workers. You do not plan raids. You do not choose where the colony expands. You do not decide which larvae become queens and which become workers. That is shaped by nutrition, colony conditions, and developmental environment. You are the reproductive bottleneck. The colony funnels resources into you because your eggs are the colony's continuity. Workers protect you because losing you means losing the future. But the same system that protects you also traps you. Workers feed you, but you cannot feed yourself. Workers accept you, but only if your chemistry passes their genetic filter. Workers raised alongside rival queens will help eliminate the ones the colony does not need. Your flight lasted minutes. Your founding lasted weeks. Your egg-laying may last years. And all of it runs on one mating, one sperm supply, one body that converted its own flight muscles into the first generation of a colony that now numbers in the hundreds of thousands. You are protected. You are essential. And you are completely dependent on a system that does not care whether you are comfortable, only whether you are functional. That is what it costs to be a fire ant queen.